getting anything from my mic. Hello? There we go. Oh, sorry. It took me a little bit to get on, everybody. Hello. This is Amidst the Havoc. We're live here. A little bit slower than I would have liked. We are doing this one a little bit more haphazard than we usually do for these live streams. I hate to say it because it's literally the championship episode, but that's kind of what we're working with right now. In fact, let me go ahead and go back to intermission screen. You can still hear me right? Excellent. Oh, God damn it. It's going to be another day of me getting under this mic on. Go ahead and post everywhere that we are about to go live, or I should say we are live. All right, there we go. All right, hello everybody and welcome to Amidst the Havoc, the championship edition of Amidst the Havoc here in the Combot Collective, bringing everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class, from Battlebots to the live circuit. I am your host, as always, Sterling Brown, aka Sterling TXTG. Up way too early here to talk about this field of robots. And disclaimer, I will say right now, usually I have some pretty solid stat sheets like, oh, nope, that's a throwback. Like this, out and ready to go. Did not get them prepared this time around. It was a whole fiasco. I was trying to push out Robot Combat tonight to appear this morning. It was supposed to appear yesterday morning, but I had some slowdowns. And I was finishing it up. I was about to render it, and then it dawned on me, Sterling, you're going to be doing a live stream at 7 a.m., you dinkus. You don't want to have a video rendering during that. So I ended up not rendering it yet. It should be out tomorrow, which really isn't ideal, but we're working with what we got here as we're trying to play a lot of catch-up this month. Finally felt like we were done playing catch-up and start of October, getting ready for Champions, and then a very busy October. Like we talked about in our last RCT video, it's put me kind of back at square one here. We have a new Battlebots Champions though, or I should say the same one over again. Shouts to Endgame. We'll be talking more about that in the RCT. It's going to be airing after this upcoming one tomorrow. And we're also going to be talking about the results from this NHRL event that we're going to be discussing all about today. Let's go to our main overlay here and try to capture a couple of things. All right. There we go. Now for our live stream that we had the other day, it was like 2 months ago, we were able to get the video quality to be a lot better. Hopefully that's the case for this live stream. I don't know if it is. Otherwise, y'all might not be able to read what I'm saying here. What I'm talking about, I should say. Making sure everything is all right. How do I get to the live dashboard? It's been a couple days. Let's see here. Great, my alarm's going off when I usually get up. There we go. All right, where the hell is this? It's going off like crazy. And there we go. So yes, NHRL Finals is today. Very, very excited about it. It's really been something we've been waiting all year for, from our friends at Robots Ruin My Life, promoting robots like Shredded Bro, Star Child, Ripperoni, who's apparently in this field today. Surprise to me. We've been promoting them all year on Robots Ruin My Life. You know, shout them out before every single video, talking about getting your NHRL merchandise. Some of those robots are here. Robots like Jackettes from Team Shredded. Robots like, I think I know the name of it. I got a piece of it behind me. Blackbird from Team Shredded and Omega Team. You know, we have Lil Rip there apparently. A lot of Omega Team, Robots Ruin My Life robots you can find. We'll talk about Robots Ruin My Life more later in this live stream. We also have, you know, international powerhouses. We got numerous Brazilian teams, especially in that 30-pound class we're going to be talking about today. Robots like Sombra 30, Shibata, Toro Feather, Jubilee, recent winner in the 12-pound class, Super Cabra. We're going to be talking about that robot. Hopefully he can go back-to-back NHRL championships. I would like to see that. There's a lot going on here. As you can see, we're hyped up. We got the little World Championship decor in the corner of the screen. Hopefully all of you guys are doing all right this morning. Thank you for inviting us into your worlds today, as we're going to be talking about these, you know, 20, 30 so round one matches today. Going to get you all going on with what's going on with the breakdown of all these fights. We're going to check in with the NHRL chat, see what they're talking about. Maybe we have some new posts coming out over there. In fact, let's go ahead and check that out real quick right here, right now. Kind of surprised they have a Sparky feed for the finals. You think that they would be going ahead and not doing going ahead and doing all these fights one at a time, since they all mean so much. But I guess we're just gonna have to see how they end up doing it properly. Looking through everything here, what happens to be coming along, you know, in the build up to this event. Obviously, the team showed up over the last couple of days. We saw Uriah doing a Instagram live stream. That was exciting to see. Looks like we got Kitchen Grill right here. Kitchen Grill might have a mini bot. We were talking about robots from the UK, robots from Ireland. Here's one. Essentially a 30-pound version of Double Barbecue from King of Bots, if y'all remember that show, any of our Chinese fans in the house. This comes from Team Immersion, the team which has made numerous robots like Immersion. This was sort of an homage they did, working with the Double Barbecue team, if I remember correctly. It looks like they have a mini bot. I don't know if this is Supreme Ruler or if they saw Supreme Ruler and they're bringing that in to help themselves after saying how well Jackpot did with Ace during the main tournament. Maybe that's what's going on there. Very intriguing. What was that second picture? I ignored that second picture. Oh, well, there you... Here we got one of the undercutters. I believe this is from Team Honeycracked. Maybe incorrect on that. Looks like a lot. I mean, we got literally Jeff Waters here saying it. Sorry, Luke. Yeah. We all know Luke Stinkle doesn't like these Supreme Ruler style robots. It's going to be very interesting to see how Supreme Ruler does in the main field of robots with such an elite cast of machines awaiting it. In fact, I bet we can go ahead and check right here. Let's see if I can zoom this in for y'all. I doubt that's any better, but it's worth a shot. Supreme Ruler. Who is Supreme Ruler fighting first? Is it here? Ah, there we go. It's taking on Kickstart first. Kickstart, I believe, qualified in the January event with being one of the numerous robots that are a part of BNS Robotics over there on the East Coast in that Massachusetts area. Kickstart versus Supreme Ruler. I gotta go with Supreme Ruler on that one. We'll be going over all of these, but while Supreme Ruler was on the mind, I guess we'll kind of just take a peek at this one real quick. So Kickstart is a very traditional metaverse, very bite force in its design. You know, more or less one-to-one to this. It's got its little widgets up front, four-wheel drive body, vertical spinner on it. It should be an okay robot. Maybe it will have a mini bot for this fight. It would certainly help it in a situation like this. But we saw how good Supreme Ruler was in the NHRL finals. I'm not NHRL finals. In the finals of the tournament it ran a few months back. What was it? The August or July one? And it won there. So, you know, around 10:30 a.m., we're going to be seeing that fight live. And I bet we do see a Supreme Ruler judge decision victory. Now, I believe this how this tournament format works this time around is that it's kind of like double elimination in the qualifiers to set you up for a bracket. Essentially, what every robot has to do is they have to win 2 fights to qualify themselves for the main tournament. If you lose 2 fights, you're out of the main tournament. So we're going to see a handful of robots go 2-0. We're going to see a handful of robots go 0-2. What's really going to be interesting is a handful of robots that go 1-1, watching them play in for that final spot. Pretty much an extra round of the playoffs. Very exciting to see that. It's going to make for some high-intensity drama, some high-intensity moments. And I really do like this format. Obviously, with NHRL's format that we've seen a lot this year, it's kind of a necessary evil with the copious amount of robots they have every single event now. Certainly not a bad thing, seeing all these amazing new designs. But now we have so many robots that do lose only once, not be able to compete again. Well, every single robot competing today will have the chance to at least fight twice, barring, you know, any major damage issues stopping it from doing anything further. Going through this even more. Here's a guy with a ton of pizzas. That's like some Mario Party level balancing right there. Let's get in depth. This is an analysis channel after all. Let's go ahead and see how many we're doing here. Oh boy, it looks like we have Battle Jammer in the house right now. What's up, buddy? Glad that you can make it. I'm trying to get this chat working because I have it set up a different way than I usually do, and my chat's not fitting. I guess I could just adjust it. There's like easier ways to go about this. Let's do that. Oh god. Nothing like live overlay fixing. Quality content, I know. Hopefully you all are having a good morning though, enjoying a good breakfast, getting some cereal or something. I know when I finish recording this, I'm gonna head to the store and get me like some breakfast donuts and a coffee or something because I gotta get something in me. I still gotta do a little bit of work on that video, gonna render it out, and then I'm gonna watch these NHRL finals with everybody else. But let's get back to what we're really here for. That's a lot of pizzas. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that's just head level. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 28 boxes. I hope those are empty. Otherwise, that is very, very impressive stuff right there. Good Lord. Almost as many pizza reactions as there are pizzas on there. Very, very well done. Going through what else we have here. It looks like we have more photos of robots that have qualified, got their pictures done with JCRB photo. Shouts to them. Proud Texan, proud supporter, proud supporter of Robot Combat. What the? Are these guys sponsored by Ford? So I believe what we're looking at right here is Anxiety from the very well-known Robo Jackets team coming out of the University of Georgia with the Yellow Jackets. Unfortunately, we were all expecting Chonky, the 45-pound shuffling full-body spinner, to be the one to qualify for this tournament. Not so fast. It ended up being Anxiety, as we see here, two-wheel drive undercutter, with some of the best sponsors I've seen on a robot that really shouldn't have. I mean, this thing has John Deere on it. It has GM. It has Ford front and center. I hope this robot does good with some sponsorship backing like that. That is phenomenal. And I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at what this robot's facing first round 2. You know, why not? As we look at the designs, figure out what's going on with everybody here. We'll be going over all these, of course, but in the meantime, Anxiety. Is it Anxiety or is this the one I messed up the name on and it's actually called Intensity? No, it is Anxiety, and oh boy. So this robot's taking on the winner of our, what was it? Our championship before last in August and July of the 30-pound championship. Vorion, I should say, not Vorion. Vorion, coming from Done Dead Robotics out of New York State. Was a very solid robot, I believe. What is it? I don't think it's, no, it's not a tracked vert. I'm thinking of Emulsifier, of course. Very Emulsifier-esque, though. Very much like robots such as Synthesis and such as like its sibling Phenomenon. Vorion is essentially just an improved version of Phenomenon. Much better wedge, much better front. Honestly, a much better livery. Brandon Bennett Young, a very good driver. Very underrated. He is now world traveled after he went to the UK to fight with Fracas during Robo Nerd. Against a robot like Anxiety. Looks like a very sturdy built robot with all the bolts in there. But from what we've seen in the, small sample size of this machine competing, not really the strongest, not really the most reliable. Obviously, that weapon can pack quite a bit of a punch, but it definitely limped its way to some victories when it qualified during the first half of the year. Pretty early on. What was like the second event of the year, third event of the year in March or May. Looks really good with the titanium and the gold trim. Very pretty, but this is one of them robots I really am not sure if it's going to make the bracket or not, especially taking on Vorion first round. I guess we're just going to have to see how the ball falls, but I don't know, man. Kind of worried moving through here. Whatever robots we got here. Speaking of Vorion, let's go ahead and take a look at it, since that's the robot it's going to be fighting in round one. Anxiety is looking a little worse for wear, a little battle damage from the last time we saw it fight against robots such as Polyester and my beloved friends at Team 57's own Darthbot and Yamato. Big shouts to Yamato. The robot looks good. Like I said, still has that solid two-wheel drive body, great armor on the sides. Didn't bother with the new paint job. It's okay, though. You got to work on a lot of other things when it's final season. And kind of like a Shremek arm up top to keep that weapon from hitting the ground. It's a solid looking design. I bet we see it go far today. Who's this guy in the middle, though? What was that, Honey Shock? That has to be Honey Shocked. What's Honey Shock doing in the main tournament? Let's get Pizza Guy out of here. Honey Shock is one of them robots we actually talk about on tomorrow's RCT episode. Really wish we could have gotten it out today, but it is what it is. Honey Shocked qualified, made it all the way to the semifinals in our September 30th NHRL event. I believe what? They finished 4th overall, only qualified. Well, they did qualify because they got in, but made it through alongside the likes of some Brazilian big names and Timber Viper. What did I just click on? Hello? History, uh-oh. Hopefully I have nothing cursed on this computer. Honey Shock. Ooh, Honey Shock is taking on Voxel round one. Look at that. The 12-pound version of Voxel, I believe the 3-pound and the 12-pound version of Voxel are qualified for the event today. Honey Shock 21 versus Voxel number 4. This should be Voxel's win. Voxel did make it all the way to NHRL finals in the first half of the year during, I want to say, the May competition. I might be wrong. They did a very team defective thing by saying they wanted to forfeit one of their semifinals or finals fights because they were facing teammates. I hate it when teams do that. I get it. In terms of, money-wise, you don't want to risk burn money fighting two robots against one another. One team, though, that would be willing to do that is Honey Shock. So if Team Honey Crack does, draw one another, maybe Honey Shock versus Buzzkill, we'd probably get through and see that fight. And I won't even rag on Team Defective that much because now it is the NHRL finals. I bet if, we do see like Promhita and Voxel fight one another, they will go ahead and fight one another. We're not going to have one driver's dreams dashed because Zach Knight wants to save a few bucks. We're just going to play this one through. Honey Shock versus Voxel, though. Honey Shock, it competed a lot this year across 15 fights in like 4 or 5 events throughout the year. Debuted November last year, so it's almost been a full year of circulation for this robot. Honey Shock hasn't looked the best in a lot of its tournaments, but it did fight 7 times in the most recent one. Like I mentioned, did good, made it to the semifinals, pushed through the qualifiers, but I don't think it's going to push through Voxel. I think Voxel's going to have its number here. Looking below it, though, Zupacabra versus Promhita. I can't wait to talk about that here in a second. Other robots present, we just talked about Vorion. Here's a picture of Phenomenon getting ready. Very similar with the weapon-saving configuration module at the back. Looks like this one has wedgelets, something Vorion doesn't have, more of a plow. And compared to Vorion, this one looks a lot more brand new, ready to go. We haven't seen Phenomenon here in a few months, so that would make sense that they had a lot more time to prepare it and get it ready for such a big competition. Who is Phenomenon facing? That's a good question. Right here. Oh boy, this is an interesting one. Taking on a robot we haven't seen since January NHRL, but we've seen very much elsewhere in the world of robot combat. EVA from YO Robotics, the same team which just won the September 30th NHRL 3-pound event. The last one to qualify in was Monkfish. EVA is a 4-wheel drive drum spinner robot. Very compact, very much shades of robots such as Iron Scrap and Minotaur, Copperhead, Poison Arrow, especially before it. Very solid, very compact, very quick, very well driven, very destructive. Always. That's what happens if you don't drink water as soon as you get up. As we've seen it in a few events this year. We've seen this robot do a lot this year. We saw it get first place at NHRL January, beating Squire in the finals in what was the most Looney Tunes KO ever. In February, we saw it appear at Motorama, a few states down in Pennsylvania, and there it did really good. It get 4th place, 3rd place there. Busted out their wedge configuration a few times during that event, but it still held up there. Did very good against the likes of Minor Threat 5 and Disco. And then a couple months later at Chicago, going a little bit more west. I'm sorry, not Chicago, Champaign, Illinois. Team got on to me about saying it was in Chicago. In Champaign, Illinois, it was EVA getting 2nd place at that event after only losing to Roundhouse, a robot which we've now seen glow up big time for RoboGym Robotics, competing as a heavyweight and everything else. All starred from that event. EVA, I don't know if it's going to be necessarily a pick to win at all, but certainly a robot that you should have at least, having a dog in the fight with every single robot it faces today, even against some of our monstrous names like Kitchen Grill and Megatron. Should still watch out for this robot. Toro Feather up there as well in that classification. I think it will beat Phenomenon here just because Phenomenon has had some troubles. It too has made an NHRL final. Earlier in the year, I believe they made it to the finals in the 2nd event this year against, almost said Sawblaze, against Megatron, the robot we were just talking about. Guess we're going to have to see how it does. It's one of them robots. I believe it's going to be a proper coin flip. Depends on the draw it has to see if it does get into the NHRL finals. Sorry, into the NHRL finals bracket, I should say. I believe we're looking at Jackrabbit right here. One of the very few, surprisingly very few, Shredder Bro robots qualified. I said Jackrabbit. This is Blackjack, isn't it? Who is this? Okay, there we go. Blackjack. Very interesting matchup. We were just talking about Motorama, weren't we? Well, the winner of Motorama this year was Minor Threat 5. They really changed their career around being, Minor Threat 5 is a pretty old robot. We've seen the Minor Threat lineage exist in the sport for a very long time. You don't get to number 5 by being a shitty robot, that's for sure. And this year we've seen that they have added a huge update to their robot for all these events with a Shreem mech that has saved their ass multiple times at both NHRL and Motorama this year. Taking on a robot like Blackjack, they should be fine. I do like Blackjack a lot, but the tournament Blackjack did qualify for in the middle of the year wasn't one of the strongest 12-pound fields we saw this year. Blackjack, like we saw in the picture, very much your traditional 4-wheel drive vertical spinner coming from the team over there. Fantastic captain, a school teacher, a parent. He's an awesome guy from Team What's Up Danger. It's a solid looking robot. The lighting makes it look great, obviously. That red just pops right off. Wedge seems kind of steep though. The weapon doesn't have much reach, and that's definitely something Minor Threat has over it. Minor Threat 5 also has their original driver taking helm for this event once again. A few events ago, we saw Derek Tran driving it, the infamous Derek Tran driving the robot. Didn't do as well. I have high hopes for Minor Threat 5 today. I won't go as far as to predicted to be the event's winner, like I did when Derek Tran was driving it. I think they're going to do okay. We may even see them make top 8, maybe even top 4, maybe even the finals. Who knows? I won't discredit them from that, but we're just going to see how it goes out. Jack Hedge has a bit more of an uphill battle to climb. Definitely a lot more of a steep hill. So only time will tell with them. Finally, talking about that robot which competed in the UK recently, Fracus, the third and final Bone Dead Robotics competitor. Like I mentioned, the last time this robot fought was all the way across the pond at RoboNerd. I think it made, what, third place overall? If I remember correctly, if I remember what I read is right, Fracus is going to have a very interesting robot in round one with Colorado's own Yahoo. Colorado's own Yahoo, made by Luke Quinn. I want to say that's right. There are a lot of Colorado Rubeteers, and I might get them. I'm sorry, no, Chad New. Chad New made Yahoo, and they also made Yippee, who I don't think qualified for this event. Yahoo versus Fracus. This is an interesting one. Yahoo made it all the way to the finals of one of the summer NHRL events. Had a very controversial decision against Emulsifier that a lot of people, myself included, thought Emulsifier won. Almost cost them a spot in the finals. Yahoo has looked okay, though, in that tournament before that awkward fight. I think he's competed one more time since after qualifying. It's a robot you should always watch out for. It's ranked 4th overall in the NHRL for a reason right now. Fracus is ranked lucky number 21. It's definitely not something you should be washing away like it isn't nothing. We've really seen Fracus go through a glow-up over this year. We saw it debut at Motorama in the Sportsman Class. It got torn apart by joke bots and competitive bots alike. We saw it compete then at an NHRL event, really turned some heads, finished top 8, almost qualified for the finals, was so close so far. Show up the following event, and it regressed to the mean again, getting absolutely destroyed by Ripperoni in its first fight, had to retire after that. And then, what was it, 2 events ago, we saw Fracus return one more time, and they finally got the job done. They made it to the Final Four, and now all 3 of these team signature robots from Bone Dead Robotics, Phenomenon, Fracus, and the champion Vorion, they have all qualified. They've all looked great this year. They've all made it to the finals at least once at some sort of competition. We'll have to see what happens here. Very excited. Fracus is going to be a really good design to grab such a long, skinny robot. Very flat like Yahoo. Center of gravity on Yahoo is going to be a big issue if Fracus can't lift it up. Kind of like what we saw with Claw Viper and Shatter a couple weeks ago. Shatter had such a weird center of gravity, it was pretty much impossible for Claw Viper to get a traditional suplex on it. Every time they tried lifting it up, their weight just kind of went, forward like that. Could very well happen to Fracus here, though. It is a 2-wheel drive robot. Their own center of gravity is a bit more further built in the back, so maybe they will be able to get some good suplexes on Yahoo. They're just going to have to watch out for that spinning drum. I would lean Yahoo, though, in that matchup, I got to say. Let's keep going through these pictures here, these matchups with you guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning as we're killing some time here. Got about, half an hour away until the NHRL Finals officially kicks off. I'm so excited. We got a picture of Crunk here. Who is this? Is that Puka? Is that Polywog? I don't think either of those robots are in this event. Well, I know Puka is. I shouldn't say that. What's Puka doing? Puka's taking on Voxel version 1. Look at that. So there we go. There's a 3-pound Voxel. Always does good. Regular finds itself in the top 8 of these NHRL tournaments. It was a surefire qualifier even before the season started. Who wasn't so surefire, though, was Puka. In the very first event of the year during that new Robots January competition, we saw David Small from Team Small Robots bring this robot to NHRL for the first time. Puka dominated its field. It's essentially a 3-pound version of Son of Cram, who didn't have as hot of a year this year. And Puka looked really solid. I honestly didn't see the events, but I know it did very well. That was before we got our AMIDST the HAVOC coverage rolling properly, but I believe it did go nearly undefeated, made it through the entire bracket. What didn't go so well for it was his last appearance. Puka 2 showed up for, what was it? Puka 2 showed up for the most recent NHRL event on September 30th, and what did they do? 0-1. Had issues very early on in a fight they kicked off winning, and then from there had to pull out, didn't get much time in, but at least they had already qualified. I think David Small was just there to get familiar with the arenas again. And I hope at the very least he managed to do that, because taking on Voxel version 1 in the first round, you got to be on your end game. You can't tap out early for whatever reason. We're probably not going to see many tap outs today. A lot of these teams are going to go for broke, especially once we get to the bracket phase. That's going to make for some exciting television. Voxel version 1 versus Puka. That's a real coin flip, but I think just off of recent results, I'm going to have to go with Voxel version 1. What other pictures of robots do we have on deck here? I know I saw Crunk here. Crunk, one of many team defective vertical spinners in this bracket. We got Promhita here. I know we got Carmen there taking on Full Court. That'll be an interesting battle. Promhita taking on Zupacabra. 12-pound Voxel taking on a robot. Let's see here. What is Crunk doing here? Crunk's taking on Yoshimi. That should be a matchup it should be safe with. We saw Yoshimi compete very recently after it qualified in the very first event of the year in that new bots event in January. A lot of wildcards qualified during that January event, but since it is new bots only, you're getting all these new wacky designs we've never seen before break into the finals, and they've had a year to prepare. We saw Yoshimi a couple of events ago. It did not look good inside the arena against some of the more evolved competitors in the sport. So challenging a robot like Crunk really early on is a tough draw. We know Crunk can be destructive. We know it's well-driven. We know it's aggressive. And if a lot of damage is done to Yoshimi early on, one fight here in less than an hour, and that actually an hour exactly from now, that could be curtains. That could be the end of Yoshimi's NHRL 2023 run a little bit early. They might not get that second chance to battle if Crunk really does some damage. Yoshimi's going to have to focus on the sides, those corners where those wheels are a little bit more exposed right there. But those cleated wheels that they have designed perfect for these NHRL arenas, they're hard to tear through. So it's going to be a very, very uphill battle for Yoshimi. It is Polywog. Is Polywog in the field? I feel like we haven't seen Polywog fight this year. Nope. Only Polyester is in, and we know Polyester is like made of one half of a large version of Polywog. 7th overall, taking on Toro Feather. Toro Feather's going to have their hands full there, but I think they should be fine. We've seen the Resuts team handle multi-bots before in the past, and really only one of the two Polyester mini halves are super destructive. Should keep up with Toro Feather's power. Toro Feather will have to size and power and weight advantage over both these robots. We saw what Phenomenon did against this duo. As long as Toro Feather is patient with the drive and gets in there that does the right damage, should be able to take it, but it's not an open shut situation. Polyester is the higher ranked robot pretty much by 2 here. I'm very interested to see what's going on with the Resuts team. I feel like with an event this big, with this much money and this much prestige on the line, you got to bring out your A squad. You got to have Marco Meggiolaro there. You got to have Junior Souza there. You got to have Daniel Freitas there. I know he's not the only driver for Resuts. We've seen some very impressive young drivers come through NHRL and compete. But when you're competing for the big gold, we know Resuts struggled last year at this competition. You got to bring your big guys. Hopefully we can see Daniel, assuming that there's no personal issues or travel issues which stopped them from showing up. Who else is here? Who else is hanging out? We got more pictures of robots right here. My beloved. Maybe the robot I think is going to win this entire 12-pound class. Outside of Positively Hysterical, probably my new favorite robot from this year. Look at Maximizer. Jake Hoffman's beautiful machine. One of numerous Bearcat robots in this field. What's Maximizer doing? Because I feel bad for whoever's facing it. Way to go, me. Oh, another one of them honey crack robots. So we got 3 honey crack 12-pounders. We got 3 University of Cincinnati 12-pounders. That's some West Side story. Let's get ready to fight stuff right there. Maximizer, the 2nd ranked overall, taking on the 23rd ranked overall Swagmore. Swagmore, if I remember correctly, I'm going to do a fact check on this. I believe it's just a traditional vert. I believe it's a drum bot, actually. I know it's from Honeycracked. Yes, it is. It's a 2-wheel drive drum bot. Maximizer tore these robots up for breakfast all year. Honestly, for a robot like Maximizer, I feel like I'd be more worried about the control bots in the 12-pound class. Machines like Timber Viper, machines like Full Quartz, maybe some of these other horizontal spinners like Jubilee, and maybe even its own teammates like Super Scope and Cthulhu. That's who I'd worry with Maximizer. Maximizer is a very well-designed robot. I'd love to see a heavyweight version of it one day with this Thagomizer design that's just taken the sport by storm. Swagmore is one of them. It's a very generic drum bot. It's a solid drum bot, obviously, or it wouldn't be here. But it has had reliability and consistency issues in the past. Has had some lucky decisions, too, if I remember correctly. I feel like it had a bad one against Darkstar or Axis of Evil. One of those 2 robots. Can't remember off the top of my mind. I feel like that one's a maximizer all day and night, though. We're going to see maximizer go far into this tournament. I'd be shocked, big time shocked, if it doesn't go Final Four. Here's Chubby Unicorn. Chubby Unicorn won, what was it, the second or third event this year. We know the team has been ready. They have their big inflatable unicorn in the pits to mark where they are. Robot looks great. I've always compared it a lot to Hypershock with its wide body, wedges up front, long flat sides, big spinner on it. Did pretty good in the last event we saw competed in September, even though it already had won one championship. Just like a lot of these robots, they wanted to sharpen their blade, get more money, get more prizes. Who are they facing first? They're taking on IDK WTFID. Pretty much the very last qualifier for this division during our September 30th event. It has not made a semifinals at any point this year at all. The only reason why it qualified during the September 30th event was because Synthesis, the robot we're most definitely going to be talking about later, did already qualify back in March or May. So they really didn't need to have this robot around. Take up 2 qualifier spots, obviously. So IDK WTFID qualified, just like who were we just talking about a while ago when we started streaming. There's another robot very similar to it. Kickstart, I should say. Kickstart, just like IDK WTFID, both those robots are very much Bite Force-esque traditional vertical spinners. And taking on a robot like Chubby Unicorn with a lot more mileage under its belt, it is the second-ranked Beetleweight in this competition. I'd be shaking my boots if I'm IDK WTFID. I'm surprised I haven't butchered that name yet. Robot looks good. We're just going to have to see what ends up going down here. Maybe it'll be a judge's decision. Maybe it'll be an upset. We're definitely going to be seeing a lot of upsets in this tournament. Chubby Unicorn, though, probably my open shot pick to win that fight. And what's this last picture here? Is this Prom Heda? Has to be Prom Heda, because I don't think Prom Theta has put up a qualifying run just yet. Looks like her. What's Prom Heda doing? We just saw it. Yeah, we know what it's doing. Prom Heda versus Super Cabra. That is going to be electric. You want to have almost dream match level stuff that this sport's all about. Why not put the best vertical spinner from the U.S. against the best vertical spinner from Brazil in the 12-pound class? Both these robots have won championships this year. Both these robots have taken home golden dumpsters in the past. Super Cabra is one of the hottest 12-pound robots in the sport right now. In July, in Robocore, they won a championship there. 2 months back at NHRL, they won a championship here. They're looking great. And just like I'm saying with Reobots, I really hope these guys bring their A squad over from Brazil to compete with Uriah. It's going to be really good with them, with the AGVS team, with Reobots, with Shibata, Rato, Brushado. Hopefully we're going to see some Brazilian fans make the trip over to the event. We know the live chat's going to be full of Brazilian fans. It's going to be fun to see. Oh, man. I think I'm going to take a quick pause here because my throat is shot. I know NHRL officially kicks off their stream in about 10 minutes, so we probably got 20 more minutes left in this live stream before we say goodbye to everybody. And we'll have to go through these fights a little bit more quickly, but my throat's shot right now already. So I'll be right back, and we'll talk more about this. Inquisitor Media, we're just sort of hopping around to every single fight. We aren't going too in-depth right now. We will be talking about 30-pounders, though. We got a lot more 30-pound discussion to have. So stay tuned. I'll be right back here in a minute. God bless Buble. Breakfast of Champions. There we go. Cut back. There we are. Hope you guys are all still having a great morning. We are going to get a little bit more organized with what robots we're talking about, what robots we aren't here in just a second as we start wrapping up the stream here a little bit. I did get a late start, all things considered. Really wish I could have promoted this amidst the Havoc a little bit better, but I've just been so behind. It really is driving me crazy what's all been happening over the past month and a half or so. But we are going to get back on this very soon. Back into the rhythm. We got live event videos to do still. A lot of them. Battle of Robots. A lot of things to look forward to for sure, but it's an uphill battle. You know how it goes around here. Here's an interesting thing I discovered just before I went to get my drink. Apparently, who knows why, I'm not complaining. Positively Hysterical is present for the competition. Probably just for exhibition events. Take on some of them 3-pounders to get eliminated fairly early. Very exciting to see that they are here, though, hanging out. Maybe we will get to see them on camera fighting inside the arena at some point today. I had to check out the bracket and make sure I didn't qualify somehow. I really don't remember Lil Rip qualifying. But here it is. Looks great. Very excited to see it. No Evil Twin here. They have that beater bar weapon still attached to it. That's going to be fun to watch. But who else is here? None other than our 12-pound hemp champion, Huge, from the Dwarfler family. What a great year it's been for Team Huge. Where's Huge sitting on this totem pole here? Taking on Disco in round 1? That's brutal. So you mean to tell me that both of the Dwarfler robots drew each other in round 1? There's Disco. That is very unfortunate. I feel bad for the Dwarflers if that is the case. Who is this? Am I an idiot? I don't know who this is. This Borderlands-looking undercutter. I feel like I don't remember seeing this machine ever. I must have qualified somehow. Here's the robot. You want to talk about 30-pound action. Can't talk about the 30-pound division this year without talking about Kablooey Tango from Team Valkyrie. And it looks like they have a couple of mini-bots this time around, too. Maybe trying to take advantage of that loophole rule in the 30-pound class. Maybe. I'm not sure. Kablooey Tango, though, if you've watched NHRL this year, you've seen Kablooey Tango, whether you realized it or not. I don't think very many robots can have the honor to say they haven't missed an event at all this year. Maybe Positively Hysterical, maybe Shred It Bro. Kablooey Tango definitely has not. And on top of it, they've also won 2 straight events this year during the middle of the year. Almost made it 3 straight events, but Varian actually shut them down, stopped that from happening with a very, very, very good semifinals fight that we saw a few months back between it and Kablooey Tango. Kablooey Tango should be everyone's pick to go far in this tournament. We know that Lucy Duke can drive it like a motherfucker. It has pretty much all the things that made Hot Leaf Juice and Valkyrie good built into one 30-pound package. And that's a very interesting round 1 battle for it. Kablooey Tango versus Synthesis 30. Synthesis has been on a bit of a hot streak lately. We know Synthesis 30 has made it to a semifinals. We know Synthesis 3 has made it to a few semifinals, including a huge victory a couple months back during the September 30th NHRL event, where Synthesis 3 actually managed to defeat Booty Brigade when they looked like an unstoppable force in this weight class of the 3-pound division. Synthesis 30 has not had as many triumphant victories like that, but they are certainly going to have to pick up one here if they want to defeat Kablooey Tango. They're also going to need to find a way to defeat the robot which directly inspired it, Emulsifier, at some point. Emulsifier has defeated Synthesis 30 before in the past in brutal fashion. So, Kablooey Tango is a very good warm-up for it. Kablooey Tango is, shockingly, only the 2nd highest ranked 3-pounder overall. Who's above it, I wonder? Megatron, that makes sense. Megatron is also here. I haven't seen a picture of Megatron yet, but we'll go ahead and talk about it since we want to talk about the 30-pounders here a little bit. Megatron, of course, the robot which directly inspired the one and only Battlebots champion, almost was a Golden Bolt winner as well. Apparently there was some controversy with that and an unstick that happened. they might win this whole thing too. We very well could be looking at our first ever Megatron versus Kablooey Tango battle in the finals of this tournament. Megatron really shouldn't have any trouble getting past that first robot it has to fight. It takes on Death Pact in the first round. And as much as I like the Northwestern University robots and their team, they make a lot of machines. I mean, a lot of machines. We've seen George, we've seen James, we've seen Death Pact. They're all pretty much siblings, identical twins at this point, but they're all fairly solid robots, but they do lose a lot. They don't have Shremex. They don't have any sort of way to get back up. All they have really is a very sturdy weapon. Death Pact qualified all the way back in the January NHRL event, appearing as one of very few robots which had outside experience in that competition. Qualified fairly easily. I think it got third place at that competition. Only lost to robots like Kablooey Tango and Squire. So, not the best draw. It's probably going to be a pretty destructive loss for it. We're going to have to see where it bounces back after the Megatron defeat. Maybe it will defeat... Oh, God. Maybe it will defeat Megatron for all we know. Very hard to make predictions in robot combat, but I'm feeling pretty confident about how Jameson Go is going to go with his killer robot Megatron. Got less than 10 minutes before we go live, so let's go ahead and pick up the pace here a little bit. We got a Battlebots level meeting to kick off this live stream today. Emulsifier versus Lil Rip. Once again, I'm not exactly sure what was the situation with Lil Rip qualifying, because the last I remember seeing Lil Rip, it was getting ripped apart by Shibata of all robots. But I guess maybe it did sneak in there somehow. Maybe through a top 8 spot, and I just don't remember that. Emulsifier, though, had a very interesting year. It is our defending annual NHRL champion. Did great last year. Probably is going to have those foam mini bots back. But the last time we saw it, I already mentioned earlier, it was in a very controversial loss against Yahoo. Almost kept Emulsifier from qualifying for the championship altogether. And now it's taking on Lil Rip. It's going to be the internal flywheel versus the treads here. 2 Battlebots level robots, which have since been upscaled to that 250-pound class. I got to go with the champion Emulsifier here. I like Anazolnikov. I love Frederick Moore, but Bots FC, while they haven't been the best in the heavyweight class this year, I'm still going to hold on to their faith that they're going to do good here. We'll talk about Knockoff White here in a minute. Let's go down to Red Storm versus Kitchen Grill first instead. A 30-pound version of a heavyweight Battlebot and a 30-pound version of a heavyweight King of Bot. This is interesting. UK versus US. Kitchen Grill looked really, really good when we saw it compete in NHRL, but the last time we saw it fight at Labman Fight Fest in late July, early August, it didn't do well at all. It struggled in the tag team competition. It struggled in the main competition. Had not the best weapon reliability. Half the fights, this weapon wasn't working at all. But it has been a few months since Labman Fight Fest, so they have had chance, team immersion, to repair themselves, get themselves better for another event. So we'll have to see. Oh my God. We'll have to see. Hello? That was bizarre. Claw Viper, of course, done really good this year. 4-3 record. Made it to the top 32. Made it to the semifinals in the Champions Tournament. Had a hell of a fight with Hypershock we just watched. I got it winning there. Caldera versus Booty Brigade. Tough draw for Caldera. We know it's a high-ranking robot. 3rd overall in NHRL. But Booty Brigade... But Booty Brigade... Shit. But Booty Brigade... Try saying that 3 times fast. Is literally droopy in links as a cluster bot going through ripping robots apart. I think I didn't make a prediction post. I wish I did that at least, but I think Booty Brigade is probably going to be the robot to win the 3-pound class this year, unless some crazy machine like Synthesis or Warhog or maybe Supreme Ruler can stop it. I have trouble seeing those 2 robots losing anything, especially to a robot which is essentially one of it in Caldera. Yahoo versus Fracas we talked about. Knockoff White versus Jubilee is going to be super interesting. Knockoff White, essentially the featherweight version of Shatter. It has shuffling legs instead of Omni Drive, so it has a weight advantage. Has one of the most destructive hammers in the non-heavyweight divisions. Very powerful. We've seen it cause lipofires before in the past on robots such as Botceps and Bigley. It takes on a robot named Jubilee. We all expected Quayo to be the 30-pounder to qualify for Uriah in this tournament. Quayo is essentially the 30-pound version of Black Dragon, but Quail was too busy getting beat by robots such as My Boy Yamato. So instead, we have Jubilu, one of the very, very few horizontal spinners to come out of the country of Brazil, qualify for the 30-pound finals, and the only 30-pounder Uriah has in this event today. Jubilu is a very interesting challenge for Knockoff White. If Knockoff White can hit the right spots, such as the top of the robot, the top of the weapon hinge, the wheels, this is going to be over very quick. If Knockoff White is even slightly off aim with that weapon, that hammerhead is going to come right off because that horizontal spinner of Jubilu is insane. I'd love to see a weapon-to-weapon collision, hammerhead right into the spinner just to see which weapon survives. We could even see Jubilu's weapon shatter. Jubilu is a shockingly old robot. I believe it's over a decade old. So maybe it is due for a big, rough strike like that. I guess only time will tell. That's a bit of a coin flip, but I will go Knockoff White based off experience. Adam Wrigley has not had the best year with Shatter or Knockoff White, all things considered. Knockoff White also had a bit of a heartbreaking exit from the tournament that it was in alongside Shatter at NHRL in July. I guess we're just going to have to see what happens here. Keep going down the list here. Who else is fighting? Toro Jr. versus Nightcrawler. It is essentially a truncated version of Minotaur versus Copperhead. Nightcrawler. I believe this is actually the robot which comes from the guy I was mentioning earlier, who I now can't remember the name of. Luke Quinn. There you go. Nightcrawler versus Toro Jr. Two killer drum bots. That's a real coin flip right there. If I had to guess, I would go Nightcrawler just because Nightcrawler's had a better year. It placed second during the 12-pound championship at Motorama. Hasn't had the same success at NHRL, but, you know, we'll just have to see what happens. We already talked about Voxel. We already talked about Myra Threat 5. Beetlejuice versus Warhard. I think this is going to be... These are two robots that we're probably going to see go over 2 and 1-1 in this qualifying round. I hate to say it, especially for Warhard's case, being that, you know, we're over here supporting Texas so much. Warhard, it's appeared in a lot of events this year. It's struggled in a lot of them. It had a Cinderella run in the recent NHRL event on September 30th, defeated Booty Brigade. That's the only thing I really have gassing it up for this event. Warhard, a lot like Kickstarter, a lot like IDK WTFID. Fairly traditional, fairly meta with their vertical spinner setup, but I believe they do have an egg beater instead of just a traditional vert. I'd like to see Warhard win this, so I'm going to guess them here. Quite a few fights to talk about. Silent Spring versus Offbeat is going to be an interesting one. Two horizontal spinners meeting up there. Silent Spring with the shuffling power and the weight advantage. Offbeat does get a little bit of practice in the 3-pound class, coming that it is from a team that works with Battlebots Destructathon. They have surprisingly a good amount of stick time on that side of the country inside the battle box of all places. Silent Spring, though, is Silent Spring. Jameson Go, though, is Jameson Go. You got to go them for that battle. Squire, another proud Texas robot. This one a little bit more close to home with me, being that it is a DFW machine. Go Rangers. And this is a battle of the fan favorites. Squire is taking on Shibata. It's going to be the Rat versus the Knight. That's going to be a lot of fun. Vertical spinner versus horizontal spinner. A true battle of classic designs. Those exposed wheels on Squire are going to be a big issue, and Shibata has proven it is a championship-level robot. Believe it or not, it is a robot made by a YouTube celeb, but it's a solid robot at that. I would go Shibata. I think I'd go Shibata there and go with the upset. Squire might be the 5th-ranked featherweight 30-pounder at NHRL right now. It's had a couple solid events, but it has yet to win a championship. It's made it to the finals twice, no championships yet. I don't think it's going to start off a machine as solid as Shibata. Going down the field a bit more here. Sombra versus STF. This is a rematch from the 30-pound championship that we had in September. STF defeated Sombra. Sombra defeated STF in what? The second round of the tournament, I want to say? Wait, no. I'm mistaken. I'm thinking of Red Storm. Red Storm defeated STF. Which means this is a first-time matchup and another battle between horizontal spinner and vertical spinner. My voice just caught up with me there. He said, "Whoa, Sterling, you need to slow down with your words." Also skipped Blackbird. I got to go back here a little bit. Okay. Had a mental break there. Sombra and STF, like I mentioned, they almost fought a couple months back. Ended up not doing so. Not synthesis. I'm sorry. Yeah. I need to eat before I do these. It's becoming very much evident. Since that's all, folks. Sombra has looked really good this year, though. Really didn't do the best at NHRL at first in the year, but when it appeared at Robocore, it defeated some huge names such as Quayo, such as Toro Feather, such as some of the other top machines coming out of the Brazil area, and it won. I want to say it was the robot that won the 30-pound championship at Robocore, the largest championship in Brazil every single year. Taking on a robot like STF, it's a little bit of a different beast, coming from Team WPI, the team behind Ribot. Robot's literally named Save the Frogs. That's what STF stands for. You know, we've seen STF go through a lot of iterations over the past few years, but this one is by far the sturdiest, the strongest, and easily the most aesthetically pleasing with the green and the yellow. It's such a beautiful design. I gotta go Sombra here. We gotta pick up the pace here. We got a lot of fights to talk about, and the live stream's about to kick off. What else we have here? We got to give a little bit of love. We got a piece of the robot right here to Blackbird. It's going to be taking on what looks to be, oh my God, that's a brutal matchup for it, Droopy in the very first round. We got two Droopies in this finals tournament, one with Booty Brigade, one competing on its own. Droopy won the second or third NHRL event this year after taking a 2-year hiatus from East Coast Robot Combat. Showed up like nothing, won everything again. It was incredibly impressive. And Blackbird has a lot of work cut out for it. If Blackbird can defeat Droopy from Tommy Wong, one of the predictions, probably my prediction to win this championship if it wasn't for Booty Brigade, then they're going to be in a huge spot for the rest of the tournament. Momentum is going to be on Tony D'Ambrosio's side. If he doesn't, damage could be big, and Tony D'Ambrosio could easily find himself on the back foot heading into the losers round matchup during the qualifiers. So we're just going to have to see what goes down with them. I'm really pulling for Blackbird there. I'm going to circle that one on my schedule because that's going to be a fun fight to watch. Let's see, we covered that. Timber Viper versus Torrent. Torrent and Torrential are going to be in this field. I know that for a fact, and they don't really... Not the most exciting robots, but they can get the job done. Working alongside Donald, a former roommate for Jameson Go, a friend of Jameson Go. You know Jameson's going to be helping them out as much as he can. Taking on a robot like Timber Viper, though, Torrent doesn't have the most reliable weapon. Timber Viper is hyper-aggressive. I think I'm going to go Timber Viper for that one. Psycho versus Hooligan. Man, I love Gator Robotics. Hooligan was one of them robots which qualified in January with the lesser field. We've seen it appear a few times at events like... we saw it appear at Motorama. It did average there. We saw it appear at a few more NHRL events since January, and it did average to below average there. And now it has to take on the best 12-pounder maybe in the world right now. Jameson Go's Psycho. It's all Psycho. I love two of those. It's going to be a battle between two solid vertical spinners, but at the end of the day, I got to go Psycho there. Fully Defined versus Ratfish is going to be an interesting one. It's a control bot versus a control spinner. Ratfish, a robot which is essentially a truncated version of Big Ratfish, a robot which has tried qualifying for Battlebots in the past. Fully Defined is a wide vertical spinner coming from the BNS Robotics squad. And I like Ratfish a lot. It shocked the world, making it as far as it did a couple tournaments back, where it made it to the finals with its fellow Controlbot Supreme Ruler. And it will have more chances. Ratfish is a deceivingly sturdy robot with its big-time wheels and its chonky lifter and those sturdy forks it has. But I think ground game and ground clearance is going to be a big one against Fully Defined. Fully Defined will smother robots and rip it up. I'd expect a lot of tire foam in the arena after this fight, and I'd expect a judge's decision victory for Fully Defined. Hot Wings is going to be a lot of fun right here. Hot Wings is one of the most unique robots we've seen qualify for the NHRL finals this year. It is a control bot mixed with flamethrowers, but not in the way you'd expect with a robot like Clyde, who we'll talk about here in a second. Like we mentioned earlier in the year, it takes those two arms, it brings them in, uses heating elements to torch your robot down, and it fights a plastic robot Monkfish in the first round, the robot which we just saw qualify for the NHRL finals by winning our most recent 3-pound bracket. I want to see Hot Wings win this, but Monkfish has two things going again going against Hot Wings here. The fact that it's wide, it's going to be damn near impossible for Hot Wings to like get a traditional grab onto it. And the fact that it is a loophole robot. It's one of 2 loophole robots in the field. And they're probably going to take advantage of that. It's going to be a lot of robots moving around, including Brett, for poor Hot Wings to try to grab. So we might not see Hot Wings get too many successful clamps and grasps in this matchup. It is very interesting to see, though, and very exciting to see a G3 robotics robot that isn't from Jameson Go make it to the finals. So I wish them the best of luck. Love to see them break into the bracket. We already talked about Huge versus Disco. Synthesis versus Wicked Twister is going to be an interesting battle. Torrential versus Cthulhu. There's the other one from Donald's duo of classic vertical spinners taking on one of those Bearcat robots. Got to go with Cthulhu there. Torrential has some very flat sides. It may have that UHMW armor. Could be very nasty, very quick. Polyester versus Toro Feather. We already talked about that. Waddles versus Agent P is going to be very interesting. Agent P is the only Canadian robot in our qualifiers this year. In our finals this year. It pretty much made it to the finals by doing absolutely nothing. It struggled big time in its entire tournament. Only reason why it qualified was because its opponents, disinformation coming from none other than Ray Billings, kind of knocked itself out, disassembled itself while doing nothing in that top 8 fight. One of the worst fights all year. I got to give it its honor. I believe we saw it compete at Robo Brawl as well. It really hasn't shocked the world. It's going to be, I say it with as much love as I can, because if you make the finals, you deserve it. It's going to be the worst robot here. They're taking on Waddles in round 1. It's going to be a battle between Platypus and Penguin, and the Penguin's going to take this one. WPI made a very solid shuffling undercutter with Waddles. Waddles could be a sneaky pick to go all the way in this 30-pound championship. We discussed Megatron. We discussed Voxel. We discussed Zupa. Super Scope versus Buzzkill is going to be a battle between horizontal spinner and undercutter. Super Scope was originally just designed to be an experimental robot to try out new things for machines like Maximizer and Cthulhu. Ended up becoming a powerhouse on its own. And against a robot like Buzzkill, a robot which is going to have reach issues in terms of both weapon length and weapon positioning. It's going to have drive issues. It's not the fastest robot. That's all Super Scope, in my opinion. Spartan versus Clyde is going to be another really fun one. Really a big international scope for this tournament. We got Brazilian robots, we got Irish robots, we got Canadian robots, we got American robots. Of course, we got Johnny Sompas from the Bahamas here with a Spartan. Just barely qualified for the finals. Got past Chubby Unicorn a couple of events ago. Ended up not being able to work its full weapon to its potential when it took on Supreme Ruler. So that would be a very fun rematch to see here. It's going to have to get past Clyde first. Spartan versus Clyde. Killer horizontal spinner versus killer flamethrower. Clyde's easily the best flamethrower left in the competition, with robots such as Jet Power and Mixtape not present in this competition, unfortunately. I'm going to have to go Spartan here just because Spartan has more capable of doing visible damage to Clyde, and Spartan's an all-metal robot, so flamethrower should not be a big issue for it. Should be fine, to be brutally honest. And I think that pretty much covers everything. Jetlag versus Silent X is going to be a battle between 2 killer vertical spinners, Lars versus Jameson. Lars is a big upside, a big future for him. We know that Jetlag won Best Driven at Motorama, won the Motorama 3-pound championship, did a lot of really good stuff at NHRL like it does every year. Probably the best kit bot in the world right now, in my opinion. But taking on Silent X, you know what? I have Jameson go winning its 3 other round 1 battles. I'll go ahead and make the upset here and say Jetlag wins this one. Why not? We know Impact's going to be an Impact player next year. We know Jetlag's still going to be sticking around. We could see 2 Lars Elliott robots into the finals this time next year when we talk about the 2024 NHRL finals. And who's to say that's it? Who knows? Maybe we'll even see more robots from that team make it through. That about covers it. Carmen versus Full Court. I love Full Court. It's the Mad Catter mini bot we all know and love with the weapon and name only, but I got to go Carmen there, given that Full Court is fresh off a couple of less than stellar events. But I think that wraps up all of our round 1 predictions. If I have to do a real quick overall prediction from every single weight class, I think I would go Booty Brigade for the 3-pound class, Maximizer for the 12-pound class, and why not? Megatron for the 30-pound class. Jameson Go is definitely leaving with at least 1 golden Brett today. A lot of money in his pocket. It's going to be very good. But from what I understand, I think this NHRL stream is kicking off. And from what I know, very well, we could be having Emulsifier versus Lil Rip happening right now. So I'll tell you what, I want to go watch that. I know you guys want to go watch that. I also want some breakfast. So guys, thank you so much for joining me for this live stream event amidst the Havoc here. I'm sorry it was a little bit more bare bones than our usual amidst the Havoc live streams. We usually have the stats, the panels, the news, the info all popping up. But we've been very behind. I've been working on Robot Combat Tonight pretty much nonstop over the past couple of days, trying to get these 2 episodes out this week. And we will. Maybe not as soon as I would have liked, but it's the way baseball go. You can still expect Robot Combat Tonight this weekend. You can still expect another Robot Combat Tonight, a Champions Edition of Robot Combat Tonight next week, where we talk about the results of this event. We'll talk about the results of Battlebots Champions, the very controversial Saw Blaze versus Tantrum fight, the Saw Blaze versus Endgame fight, the big Lipo Fire and Shred It Bro, all of those fun things and more. And of course, tomorrow, 1 hour later at 8 a.m., please join us here once again because we are going to be talking about the results of NHRL's finals events. We're going to be going over the champions. We're going to be going over the best fights, what we could expect next year, and a little bit on the NHRL All-Stars events because that's going to be a very interesting thing going on. We're also going to be announcing one more giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching this, and we'll catch you all next time on the Combot Collective. Let's watch some finals, people. Let's watch some